With the NBA draft in the books, we move our attention to free agency as we wrap up the year number 3 offseason with the Las Vegas High Rollers here on NBA 2K26, gearing ourselves up for the start of season number 4 in the next episode. Last time around, we went through the NBA draft. In case you missed it, I recommend you check out the series playlist where every episode of the series is located. It ended up being a pretty exciting one. We saw some big trades prior. Kawhi Leonard back to Toronto in a 1-for-1 swap with the struggling Scotty Barnes. Evan Mobley to Indiana. Desmond Bane to the Celtics. Derek White traded twice. He ends up in Detroit. The Nets with the number 1 pick selected the consensus choice, Zyshawn Billings, the guard from LSU. Valentino Ramirez, number 2 to the Sonics. Tariq Moreland goes to the Lakers at number 3. The Nets had a bunch of picks. They ended up with Jazz Mwangi. We had a bunch of picks as well. We started with Rome Sterling at number 7. Then the big storyline was the fall of Demian Precocious, who was projected to go at number 4 to the Grizzlies. He falls all the way to 16, where it is Memphis who ends up getting him. They reunite the Oregon Duck duo, picking Zyrian Ward with that number 4 spot. At 19, we picked Mason Sifa from BYU. We traded up to number 30 for Michael Newton, the guard from Texas, and then selected Yuri Seskov, the Russian sharpshooter from Purdue, in the second round. I'm really excited about all 4 of these guys. I think any one of these players could provide impacts for us pretty early, and all, for the most part, have somewhat high ceilings. Sterling is a 6'8 combo guard who can really create his own shot. He's a dynamic three-point scorer. He can somewhat make plays around the basket. I think he's got the athleticism to potentially improve in that area. And the same can be said for his defense. He's not a great defender yet, but he's got the size and length to get there. I think he'll take some of the scoring load off of Marquise Cannon and some of the ball handling duties. He'll take those away a little bit from Noah Halliday, easing his role up. Mason Sifa at number 19, 6'10 with a 7'8 wingspan. Arguably the most exciting defensive prospect in the draft. Can guard the 1 through the 5. Excellent athlete. Good feel as a playmaker as well. Then these two, a couple of the youngest players in the draft. I don't know if either of them will be in the opening night rotation, but they should certainly get plenty of looks early on. Michael Newton is 6'4". He can really get to the hole, and he doesn't really have many other glaring weaknesses other than his overall IQ and feel for the game. But I think that he doesn't really have many weaknesses certainly helps his projectability, given that he does have a great skill in terms of his efficiency around the rim. And then Yuri Seskov, I think he's a pretty easy projection. Let him hang out in the corner and let it rip from beyond the arc. He has no reason to go inside the perimeter on either end of the floor. This roster has really changed. Jaden Hardy, the only original roller left. We did trade away Aaron Wiggins in order to move up to get Michael Newton at the end of the first round. We gave up a lot in that deal with Dallas. Wiggins and a bunch of second rounders. We kind of got fleeced. But I really wanted Michael Newton, and I knew he was going to get picked if we didn't make the move. So going into free agency, we've got some storylines. Derek Lively on the player option. I kind of think he's going to accept it, given that he only played 40 games last year. I don't know how much of a raise he could get. But he's also frustrated with the team for whatever reason. I don't know why. So maybe he would decline it for that reason. So that'll be something interesting to monitor. Julian Strother, we only signed him to a 1-year deal. Jaden Hardy, the only original roller, one of the final picks of the expansion draft. Deron Holmes, we got him at the deadline. He is restricted. Jet Rivers is restricted, the former second-round pick. Jordan Holloway is also restricted, so a few guys who will have an opportunity to match contracts for if necessary. And then our recent two-way guys, Adama Sanogo and Yannick Conan Niederhauser, along with Drew Holiday, which is a big one because obviously Drew was making a lot of money. So that deal is going to be off the books, and it gives us a lot of financial flexibility. The goal for us in free agency is a simple one. We've got to get older. Emmanuel Quickley is 29, but then the second oldest player in team control is 22 in Aston Newell. It's nice having a really exciting young core with a lot of really good pieces, but we need some vets. We need some older guys who can help lead this younger group, whether that's through the trade market or free agency. So team and player options, Derek Lively declines for $17.5 million. So for now, he will be headed to unrestricted free agency, and then we'll accept for Singleton, Newell, and Ritchie. Luka Doncic declines. That was the big one to keep an eye on. The Lakers have not done a great job of building around him. Does moving up in the lottery and picking Tariq Moreland excite Luka enough to choose to stick around? Otherwise, all the notable team options were accepted. Really not many player options in here. The next highest rated guy who declined was actually D-Live, ironically. So not a lot of options here as we go into the qualifying offer stage, where we have an opportunity to hand out the qualifying offer to many of our restricted free agents. I think what we're going to do is we're going to give it to Holmes. We're going to give it to Rivers. We're not going to give it to Yannick Konen Niederhauser. And I think we're not going to give it to Jordan Holloway either. I like Holloway, but he hasn't really gotten that much better for us. Efficiency has improved a little bit, but I still think he's a ways away from really turning into something. So we are going to let him go and hit the open market. The free agency class is headlined by Luka Doncic and Ja Morant at the top. Got to imagine Ja will go back to Boston. Team played really well in the second half of the year. Zion could be an interesting one. Missed most of the year with a torn ACL in San Antonio. Spurs looking to retool. Maybe Zion looks to be a focal point of the team again. Other unrestricted guys include Darius Garland, Jalen Green, Pascal Siakam as well. So as I said, the goal for us is to get older, and luckily we don't have that many big contracts. Only 2 guys making more than $11 million. So most of the players in the free agency pool are pretty affordable. Obviously, we've got to get a starting 5. The front court has been inconsistent for us, so that's a need. I think maybe another lead guard, especially if we don't retain a guy like Jet Rivers. I think that could be a need, and then we do need another wing. We don't really have too many in terms of depth. So another big, another wing, maybe a lead guard. That's the goal for us. And ideally, I want vets. I want older guys. But as I look at the centers, most of them are pretty young. There really aren't that many older options who I think fit what we're trying to do. Derek Lively is here, of course. He does want a raise. Would we give him more than we gave him last year? I took a look at the player finder. The only guy who I was somewhat interested in was Jared Allen in Oklahoma City. I don't want someone who's too good because I'm not willing to shell out the farm. A guy like Karl Anthony Towns probably doesn't make sense because he's going to cost a lot to get, and I don't think the Knicks would do that anyway. But Jared Allen only has 1 year left. I think it could work. But their asking prices were too much. They wanted Asa Newell, and I was not willing to do that. So I think it just kind of makes sense to go back to Derek Lively because I do really like his skill set, efficient around the basket, big-time lob threat. If Noah Halliday can take another leap as a playmaker, I think the two of them could be deadly. 1 year deal for $24.35. Very much a prove-it deal. If he doesn't stay healthy, we don't have to bring him back. I wanted to add another wing. I think Andrew Wiggins would be a really good fit. He can shoot the ball a little bit. He can play a little defense. He's not asking for much money, but there are a lot of teams interested, so it's kind of the bidding war. We might have to overpay. Wiggins, honestly, stylistically, has a ton of parallels to Marquise Cannon. I think Wiggins would be a really good mentor. Sure, he didn't live up to being that number 1 pick, but if you ask yourself, if Marquise Cannon becomes Andrew Wiggins, is that a successful scenario? Because on one hand, Cannon would kind of peak early as a scorer, but Andrew Wiggins is a championship role player, all-star starter. So I think he'd be a good guy to add to the locker room, a good vet who's played for some good teams. And both players end up accepting. So Derek Lively and Andrew Wiggins both signed deals, 1 year for each of them. So if it doesn't work out, we can let them go. Now I want to look for guards. I thought about Peyton Pritchard. I think he's a little out of our price range. There really are not that many great choices. A guy like Lonzo Ball, I think, would work. An older player who can pass, can defend, but he's super inefficient in this game, so I'd rather not do that. Day 1 of free agency, Luka remains unsigned, but the whole league is interested. Derek Jones, I think, could be an option for us. I know he's not a lead guard, but it gets us some more size. He can play the small ball 5, really more of the 3 or a 4, 6'6", 210. Overall, a really efficient player. Not the athlete he once was, but he's turned into a really good 11-year pro. And then Aaron Holiday. He could be the lead guard who we're kind of looking for. He can score beyond the restricted area, can defend a little bit, can pass it a little bit. He hasn't played over the last 2 years in the NBA. He's bounced around in the G League, overseas, but he's nearly a 39% three-point shooter. He would give us what we're looking for, a veteran to help develop and mold all these young guards that we have. So Derek Jones accepts, but I kind of want to wait for Aaron Holiday. I'm kind of working under the assumption we really only have one roster spot, and I would prefer Holiday given the need at guard. So we lose Drew Holiday, but we bring in his brother. I tested the waters on Jaden Hardy. He does not want to come back, unfortunately. And there are some good young players in this free agency pool. Tion McCoy is here. I'll make sure a guy like him goes back to Utah because there's no reason he's in here. He had a good rookie year for them. Looking at some results across the NBA, Luka Doncic is a Laker, and he signed for a hometown discount. He wants to win. He wants to give the Lakers an opportunity to add a true second star. It's a shorter contract, though, 3 years of the player option. You'd think he would decline. He'd get the Supermax at 32, or he'd go elsewhere if the Lakers didn't build around him well enough. Ja Morant back to the Celtics. Most of the restricted free agents returned to their teams. Pascal Siakam back with the Suns. They got him at the trade deadline. Zion to the Warriors, our first big mover. So he leaves San Antonio, joins Golden State, pairs up with Jaylen Brown in the post-Steph Curry era. Darius Garland to the Jazz. I like that Utah is spending. I don't love the on-court fit. They've got a logjam at guard. Jalen Green to the Lakers. I think that's a good get for LA. They didn't have to spend too much. Benedict Mathurin and Dalton Connect go to the Mavericks. I thought about Dalton Connect, then I saw the price, and I figured, no. Donovan Clingan to the Grizzlies. Zach Edey back to the Sixers. Cameron Kump, this is another guy who should not be in here. Sixth man of the year last year with Boston, 44% from three. We'll send him back to the Celtics. Ron Holland to Cleveland. The Pistons do not match his deal. I'm hurting inside seeing that. Khalil Ware back to the Heat. I took a look at him, ultimately opting for Lively. Reed Shepherd back to the Rockets. Julian Strawther to Miami. So we basically do a one-for-one swap with Strawther and Andrew Wiggins. I feel like it worked out for us because Wiggins is cheaper and better. So now on to player progression, but first the qualifying offers. Jet Rivers is back, but no Deron Holmes. I offered him the qualifying. He's not here. So on to player progression. We talked about this last offseason, but if you remember, with the draft classes this year, my draft class guy, Frank, is doing things differently than I've done in the past. But long story short, the players at the top of the draft are less likely to become good, and there are more gems down the board to add to the realism that we see in real life. He's also manually upped some guys who were playing well across the league, guys like Karthik Patel with the Jazz, Latonka McClain with the Nets, Julian Wright in Seattle, to make sure they would get some additional boosts. So let's look at some player progression results across the league. There are some interesting ones. In Charlotte, nothing for Brandon Miller or Con Knippel. Knippel actually takes quite a hit. Unfortunately, after having such a good season last year where I thought he was their best player. D+ inside scoring, that is not going to cut it. But they do get +5 for Richardson, +3 for the former roller Johnny Furphy. But Tony Mariano, the former number 1 pick, down by 2. Not a great sign for him. Karthik Patel in total goes up by 10. He's an 88. Jazz were big winners. Look at all these pluses. +5 for McCoy. +3 for Bailey. De La Rosa only up by 1. A little low for the number 2 pick in year 1 after Mariano. Geno Hunt up by 6 in Sacramento. Really the only good thing for the Kings. Nothing super notable for the Knicks or the Lakers other than Embiid going down by 5. That was a colossal failure of a trade. Maybe if they want that second star, they look at someone like Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner. This feels like the last opportunity for those teams. And then Jordan Holloway's a 76. Maybe we shouldn't have let him go. Cooper Flag is a 96. Then math goes down. Latonka McClain is a 90. This Nets team, I think, has a chance to be really good really quick if they figure out the guard logjam. Jamal Murray down by 3. He's a 77. He is cooked. Jokic down to a 95. Is that a sign of things to come? Not much movement for Detroit. The number of guys go down. However, Brandon Ingram goes up 1. And the big thing for the Raptors is that Kawhi only goes down by 1. That's a win for Toronto. Ahmed Thompson down by 3. His athleticism is a C+. What happened? It must have been an injury. He only played 53 games. That's a big deal. Sonics, Lotta Green, Wright to an 89. Jefferson to an 86. Ryan Jackson up by 6. We have Seattle's pick. Their roster looks good. Dylan Harper up 4. The Suns were big winners. Jamie Thompson +5. Devin Booker +2. And Pascal Siakam did not regress. Look at the Thunder. +5 for Micah Steiner. +9 for Ibrahim Diop, former undrafted player who's turned into a big gem. With Donovan Clingan gone, it's the Jan Hudson show in Portland. His efficiency is bad. I figured, is he inefficient around the rim? No, it's just that he's only shot 48 shots in the paint this year, but has attempted a gazillion threes. So I changed his tendencies. His shot under the basket was originally 1, so I moved it up a lot. So that way he should actually be positive in terms of the efficiency. Wizards get some nice boosts, +2 for Sarr, +3 for Rose. Nothing for Nazario, though, the 3rd overall pick last year. +2 for Edgecombe, +4 for Hippins. Look at the Bucks, +7 for Ujale, and +6 for St. Pierre, and +4 for Lombardi. There's a new sheriff in town in Chicago. Matas Buzelas passes Donovan Mitchell, while Christopher Oliva goes up by 6. The Cavs are going to be pretty bad. I don't think they own their first-round pick this year. Boston, +5 for Comp. With the Clippers, +2 for Scotty Barnes. Change of scenery, maybe doing him well. Jeremiah Westblade, +6. Shadrach Williams, +3. Grizzlies have a really nice future. Reza Shay's a 90. Heat with some boost, +5 for Melee Venema. That would bring us to us, but I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to make you guys wait until the next episode when we talk about the team, because there were some really interesting results for us. So I'm going to make you guys wait. We will still go through the rest of the offseason. That starts with the NBA's Summer League, an opportunity for the young guys to get out there. Marquise Cannon did not play, but most of the other young guys who we've drafted did, which makes it all the more unfortunate that we only went 1-2. The offense was shaky, although if you think that's bad, the Jazz shot 32%, and you'd think the Jazz would be one of the better teams. We lose to the Bulls, Rodriguez with 14. Most of their notable players were kind of quiet, other than Malik Craft, who at 11, 9, 2, 2, and 2. Yuri Seskov leads the scoring. Sifa was okay. Sterling didn't miss. He needs to shoot the ball more. Newton wasn't great, and then Mark Singleton. Brother, it's year 3. We're in the Summer League. Why are you going 0 for 5? As we look at the stats for the Summer League, it was Rome Sterling who led the team in scoring. He shot the ball at a really nice clip, especially from 3. So that's pretty encouraging. Mason Sifa was our second leading scorer. He was also efficient, had some assists, played good defense. Noah Halliday was not great. Efficiency was bad as a shooter and as a passer. Rivers was all right. Richie was solid. Michael Newton struggled to shoot the ball. Seskov was okay. And then we get to this goofball. I don't know what happened with Mark Singleton, but he was horrible. It's year 3, brother. It's time to take that leap. And if the Summer League is any sign, that's not promising. The Mavericks end up winning the title over the Raptors. Nikisa Dragovic, 2 for 13. That is not great. And we tried to trade for him in the Benedict Mathurin deal last year. FIBA friendlies, Team USA. There's DeMarco Jefferson. They also have Curry and Durant, even though they've both retired. On Team Canada, our guy Andrew Wiggins, joined by Benedict Mathurin. So Team Canada ended up actually winning, 170 to 155. Curry and Durant led Team USA in scoring, even though they're both retired. The old guys carrying for the youngsters. Marcus McCollum, who is this NPC? 40, 11, 9, 4 steals, and no turnovers. While I'm going to keep calling him Aaron Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was not great. The All-Star festivities will be in Denver, Colorado. Draft class, you guys know the drill. Make sure to join the Discord server. The link is in the description if you want to make a prospect. Somebody in the Discord the other day suggested that we do something with the Hoop Summit game. I think that'd be pretty fun in theory. Now, the problem is we couldn't do it now because the prospect submissions are still open, and Frank obviously has to make them all. But it's an interesting idea that I'd be willing to toy with maybe in the future. We've got the Canes in our opener. That'll be in the next episode, and we'll stop it here. I know it was a short one, but there wasn't too much to go over. I'll explore some trades possibly across the league for the next episode. We'll get started with season number 4, and we'll dive into our player progression and see how much the roster outlook has changed. Hint, a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Peace out.